Welcome in, everyone. It is time for the Fantasy Cheat Sheet presented by Going for Two. But before we get into the action, gotta hit that button.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, everyone. It is Tuesday night, which means one thing and one thing only. It is another edition of the Fantasy Cheat Sheet presented by Going for Two. What is up, guys? Jamie, what is up, my dude?
What's up, everyone? Guess who's back? Back again. The cheat sheet's back. Go tell some friends. Yeah, so guessing is fun, but winning is even better. Nobody likes a loser, so do not miss this episode.
Jordan, what is up, dude?
Nothing, man. Won the leagues that I really wanted to win this past week, so I'm feeling good. Hoping to carry that momentum in the next week. But I'm ready to talk some waivers, talk some Monday Night Football, all of it with you guys.
Well, Jeff says, cheat sheet Tim. I mean, cheat sheet time. Raul, what is up, my man?
Good to see y'all, Mike, Jamie, and Jordan. Excited for another week of the cheat sheet. We of course had a big blow up game by someone named Kayshawn. I can't remember his last name right now, but as soon as that happened, I was super amped for this episode. So ready to rock with you boys again. And we might have lost Mike after that joke.
Yes.
All right, we're leaving that inside joke during real or fake that we will get to later. But let's get in real quick to Monday Night Football takeaways. The Buffalo Bills got upset by the Atlanta Falcons, and the Washington Commanders got upset by the Chicago Bears in the rain. So let's just get ready straight into it with Monday Night Football takeaways. And after Monday Night Football takeaway, we will get into some of the news. Jamie, started it off with your Monday Night Football takeaway.
All right, so my Monday night takeaway is stop playing tight ends versus the Bills. It's not going to end well for you. Bills are literally shutting down tight ends. They're doing it through their elite coverage schemes, their athletic linebackers, and that safety play. Right now, they allow the second least amount of points to the tight ends, averaging 5.6 points allowed a week. And that includes a week 2 fluke touchdown to Jeremy Rucker. Mark Andrews couldn't get it done. It was a 40-41 score game, and he only caught one catch for 5 yards. Mason Taylor, one catch for 5 yards. Then you had a Dolphins tight end, one catch for 4 yards. Juwan Johnson, 3 for 28. Hunter Henry, 2 for 46. And Kyle Pitts, 3 for 18. So after the bye, I doubt you're going to want to start Jatavian Sanders. Unless you're desperate, maybe he'll get you 3-4 points at best. But after that, you got to sit Kelsey that following week. You got to sit Darren Waller after that. Kate Otten, Steelers tight ends, Hunter Henry again, both Browns receivers, if Njoku was still on that team. But bottom line is, starting a tight end versus the Bills is like bringing a knife to a tank fight and then realizing it's a butter knife. It's pointless. It's messy, and it's going to be painful. So let's not do that anymore.
Well, Meatball says, Jamie, I say Pitts because the Bills are so tough against tight ends. Okay, Jordan, what is your Monday Night Football takeaway?
So we talked a little bit about this guy a couple of weeks ago before the bye, and that's Luther Burden. I think he's looking like he might be a problem for DJ Moore moving forward. DJ Moore already looked like he had enough problems on his play with the quarterback itself, Rome Odunze. But last night, coming out of the bye, they were getting Burden involved. I think he had around 5 or 6 targets, and Caleb spread the ball out a lot. Nobody, I think, had more than 6 or so targets in the game. So, but that hurts DJ Moore. He hasn't really had one of those games that we drafted him for. I mean, he had. I'm just looking at the targets right now. He had. DJ Moore had 5 targets. Burton had 4. Dunze had 5. interestingly enough, Zacchaeus led the team in targets with 6. So all of that spells trouble for our guy, DJ Moore. I wasn't really high on him going into the season just because I didn't know exactly what to expect from Caleb and the offense in general. But the offense looks decent, much better than last year. But DJ Moore isn't getting the looks that I would have liked for where he was getting drafted at. And this only makes it worse with a talented guy who they drafted, obviously, to be a part of the offense, starting to get his footing and starting to be more involved on a week-to-week basis.
Yeah, I completely agree about your suggestion about him hurting DJ Moore a little bit more. Speaking of the Washington-Chicago game, Raul, take it away.
Yeah, big takeaway for me after this primetime Commanders game was I think Jaden Daniels is a fantasy buy high. So far, I would say he's had a very quiet 20 points per game, if that's even possible. It's been a very consolidated, I guess, distribution of his scoring, a floor of 17, and yesterday was his highest at 22.6. It was a little interesting at the start of the game. I would say he still looked a little hurt, a little bit immobile. You weren't seeing that burst. Maybe at the start of the game, he's still wearing that knee brace, but that should continue to get healthier. And as that game kind of went on, you saw like that patented Jaden Daniels scramble that really like kept so many of the drives going for the Commanders last year and last night. Get 10 carries for 52 yards versus the Bears, 11 for 68 in week 1. So we know that rushing upside is there. He still hasn't had a rushing touchdown yet. And we have Terry McLaurin hopefully due back this upcoming week. So I think Daniels is the kind of guy you want to target in your leagues, especially if you have hit on those late skill players. You have a little bit of depth to send over. Maybe the Daniels manager in your league picked up a quarterback that they also like while he was injured, but I think he could be that one like attainable elite quarterback right now. It is the Dallas Cowboys next week, so I expect. Honestly, I might rank him at QB1 in week 7, so act soon. But I do think Daniels is a fantasy buy high just because the ceiling is so high with a player like him.
Yeah, for sure. And so my Monday Night Football takeaway goes back to the game that Jamie talked about, the Buffalo Bills against the Atlanta Falcons. And it talks about the Buffalo Bills, but not in the same light that Jamie did about talking about their defense against a position. And it is funny that we have Jeff watching because I'm sorry, Jeff. I'm going to bring something up. Jamie's going to smile when I bring this up. The Buffalo Bills need to get an elite wide receiver because Keon Coleman ain't it. Josh Palmer got dinged up. Khalil Shakir ain't it. I think this, not saying that Josh Allen's having a cruddy season because that's not what I'm trying to say. All I'm saying is for fantasy purposes, to them to go far in the playoffs, I do think they need a top dog receiver. But also for fantasy purposes for him, if he's not going to be having rushing touchdowns as many as last year, he's going to need to get a wide receiver that's going to get the ball instead of spreading it out so much, being able to have a target. Right now, let's see what it was. Palmer, 2 for 60. Shakir, 3 for 33. Shavers, 3 for 27. Ray Davis, 2 for 19. Dawson Knox, 1 for 19. Keon Coleman, 3 for 11. Ty Johnson, 1 for 11. Did you guys notice someone that's missing out of that list?
Old Jimbo.
James Cook, 0, absolutely 0 catches, no yards. Yes, he had 17 carries for 87 yards, but that was it. Josh had 6 for 42 carries. But my takeaway, I did not think they were going to lose to Atlanta, and I think part of the reason is without a superior number 1 wide receiver, I think that's what this team needs. And yes, Jeff, that would work.
Are you sure it would work? Because they tried it last year with Amari Cooper after having big games on the Browns, and then went to
Amari
the Bills.
Cooper is not a stud number 1, Jamie. I don't care. Amari Cooper Scooper isn't him.
Well, he was putting up stud numbers on the Browns before he went over there.
Browns.
And then all of a sudden he fell off. So what does that tell you?
I don't think Amari Cooper is the guy that I'm.
Well,
I'm not
obviously,
talking
no,
about-
he's not. But
What about DJ Moore?
yeah, let's get DJ Moore over there. Let's ruin his career.
Meatball says, "What if Bills need Matthew Golden?"
That's not going to happen. They just drafted Golden.
No, I think he's saying that they should have drafted Matthew
Oh,
Golden.
they should have.
And then, guys, before that, he goes, "I think the Bills could use Matthew Hold'em Golden." Yeah. Okay, let's get into the news. I'll just bring up the first part of the news I'll bring up has to do with Monday night. Jeff asked about it. I was already going to bring it up. I'll just put it up real quick again. DJ Moore spent the night in the hospital, precautionary. They're not really saying why. Jeff, I looked it up again during Raul's take, and I couldn't find out the exact reason. It's the same precautionary medical. It looked like he got dinged up in the first. Did you see anything, Jordan?
Yeah, the Chicago Sun-Times reported that it was like a groin injury, but also like precautionary. And like when they asked Ben Johnson about like why would a groin injury require him to spend the night in the hospital, he said it was like personal. So weird, kind of vague, but he was back with the team like earlier today and kind of it's weird, but it was just like it said precautionary, but also he was dealing with a groin issue. He had got hit in the midsection at some point during the game that looked like he was in pain. So I don't know, maybe it was.
Yeah, personally, I just think he wanted to get away from his family and just spend a night in the hospital reading the book that he was trying to finish during the game.
DJ
right.
Brown, AJ Moore.
Yes.
They one of the same.
All right. Let's talk about some of the injury news. Puka Nakua injured his ankle in the game against the Baltimore Ravens. Looks like he's going to be out for a little bit. They do have a bye after they go to London this week. They're actually practicing at Camden Yards all week. Then they're flying red eye Friday to, I saw Stafford say it, that they're going to fly red eye to London. So I don't expect him to play this week. Question, Jamie.
Yeah.
Do you think he misses another game after the bye week? And what do you think this does overall?
So it was a low ankle sprain, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so those are short term. I'm leaning towards a week 9 return because they play in London this week, obviously, then a bye week. So I looked at the data. The data suggests that there's going to be like a mild dip in targets the first game back when he returns. But you got to remember, Puka is built different. So he's going to be a must start right off that bye week.
Yeah, I think so too. Jordan, who will take his place in targets? In targets.
Yeah. It's the easy answer is Devontae Adams. I think he'll get an increase, but I feel like these other random guys, and one of which we'll kind of talk about later, Stafford, he likes Tutu if he's healthy. I know he missed last week, so he may be healthy. Jordan Whittington is going to get some looks as well. So it'll be Adams being the main guy, and then a cast of other guys, kind of Baker Mayfield style behind Adams.
Can I ask you a question? Does Kyron Williams get an uptick in targets? Because we've seen him get some targets in the past.
Before I I'll throw this to Raul, but before I let Raul answer that, I want to know your opinion, being the Kyron Williams fan of the club. What's your opinion first?
I could see another 2 or 3 targets because Tutu is going to be that still specialist guy. I don't see many targets there. Whittington ain't nothing special, so I could see him spreading it out. Maybe Corum in the backfield, put Kyron out in the slot. Maybe he gets more targets. Maybe 3, 4, 5 plus targets a game.
So, Raul, the reason I set this up like this, Jamie said he's always right. Is he right?
Jamie is always right, and Jamie's right yet again. I do think it's going to be.
Come on, Raul.
Come on.
Come on.
We got that Dynasty 6-pack connection going on here. I'm not turning.
And Raul, he knows my secret. I am from the future, and I do once in a while jump into the future to get these stats, and then I come back and I share it with all you guys.
Yeah, and share is a good word there because I think this burden is going to be shared. It's going to be like wide receiver, running back, tight end by committee to fill that void. Devontae Adams should be the biggest beneficiary. Is there going to be a startable guy just for next week? It's very hard to say. Tyler Higbee had a surprisingly big game, so that could be a deep league tight end streamer. But yeah, Jamie, I do think Kyron Williams could get a couple more targets that bumps that floor a little bit up.
What about Ferguson, Terrace Ferguson? Is he ever going to be a thing?
He is, but this year, fantasy-wise,
26.
yeah, hard to see. They're really excited about the guy, and he's a guy like very athletic, great measurables. I think this is a year too early for Terrence Ferguson, at least for fantasy lineups.
Yeah, and I agree with Jeff here because I had Stafford ranked as like a top 6, top 7 quarterback this week. He didn't even finish near that. Because Puka went out.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so for the next piece of injury news, all right, I just want to make sure I have it teed up. Emeka Egbuka, hamstring injury. This one looks like it could be several weeks. I even heard week 10, week 11, because their bye week's coming up, and I think 9 or 10, I think after that's when they could have him back. They've already ruled out Godwin. They've already ruled out Bucky for this week. Jordan, is Baker going to Baker, or is Baker going to go back to what he was with that team in Cleveland?
Man, I'm not doubting him anymore. They were getting kind of good news. Mike Evans could be coming back real soon, so that kind of takes up some of the slack. But I'm rolling with Baker, man. I was doubting him, especially this past week. Ibuka went out in the middle of the game. Obviously, that changes things for the team. The 49ers defense isn't what it used to be or whatever, but still, he lit him up. So I'm rolling with Baker until somebody stops him. Doesn't matter who's out there. Tej Johnson, another dude named Cam Johnson, James Johnson for the Pacers. Doesn't matter. He's gonna bake. So I'm rolling with him.
Jeff is right. Have Mike Evans, Godwin, and Ibuka ever played together yet? The question
No, they have not.
No,
Have not.
They have not. So the next piece, we got Garrett Wilson, and I'm going to bring this. It's funny that he just put this in there. Haven't heard much about Garrett Wilson's injury. Garrett got hurt. They said knee. I haven't heard much about how long the timeline is. But Raul, let's just be real. This Jets offense was bad with him that game and has been, but we'll get to someone on that team, but they were struggling all day Sunday. What does this do? What do you think about the G. Will injury in general?
Man, I gotta say, I don't know if Meatball had traded for him, but I had just completed a trade that I was feeling pretty good about in one of my redraft leagues. I sent Tony Pollard and Chris Olave for Garrett Wilson. I was like, man, I made out like a bandit there. I had to quick story time, but I had a Olave related pun chosen by my girlfriend for that league. It was like, it's a Olave story after a Taylor Swift song. And so she was not very pleased that I traded away Olave, and I probably immediately got the karma for that one. But, back to the topic that at least the people are here for. Sounds like multi-week. Sounds like something that could bother him, returning the season. So definitely not good news there. And it's really unfortunate. We saw what the Jets failed to do in the last week, but they've got the Panthers and the Bengals coming up. Man, those are two matchups that I would love to lock in Garrett Wilson to my lineup. So, we got a couple of guys that we'll be talking about soon on the Jets that may be able to pick up the slack in a different way, but bad news on Garrett Wilson.
Yeah, for sure.
Nope.
And
I disagree. Reports say it's a hyperextension, and he avoided serious injury, so that's good news.
But he's going to be out a couple weeks.
It's a mild PCL, which is average of 2 weeks. They're going to bring him back slow after that, so he'll avoid that re-injury. So if he stays healthy after like 2 or 3 games after he returns, he'll be back to 100%.
Yes, but I agree with you. 2 weeks, Jets by week 9. So let's say week 10. It's a team that's already 0-6, right? And if the report that I read today, while said similar, Jamie, is also that it is something that he could carry the rest of the season, and that's where, man, fantasy playoffs weeks 15 to 17, is Garrett Wilson even going to be out there if the team is like 2-13? That's maybe like my long term is also really impacted, even if he does return to the field in week 10.
Mason Taylor season, like Jeff said, I've been saying it all off season. You know that, Raul.
Oh, yeah.
We love Mason Taylor.
What is going on? Take it to the hizzy.
What up?
And then Meatball says, Jeff, let's hope, but it's the Jets. Let's roll. And then Jeff says, Garrett Wilson has a Justin Fields injury. That's hurting him more than anything else. We will get to that later on, Jeff. But the last piece of injury news before we get into the rest of the show, and I'll throw this one to you, Jamie. Marvin Harrison Jr. went out with a concussion, playing in the building that his dad helped build. That was just poetic in that sense. Most of the time when concussion protocol, they're out for one game. Do you think he's out for more than one game? But here's the question I have for you, because I have this dilemma. Are you picking up one of the wide receivers, or are you just rolling with McBride?
I'm just going to roll with McBride. So here's what I want to say about this. Marvin Harrison Jr., he left the game in the second quarter with that concussion, banged his head on the turf.
Bruni!
When is the NFL going to ban turf fields to avoid these further injuries?
They're not going to, as long as they're in domes.
It's unsafe. It's ridiculous. It's a hazard for all positions. But just keep an eye out all week. I don't see him playing next week. I don't think he's going to clear the protocol. But I would look for another option if he's on your roster. But it's not going to be an option on that same team.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Agreed.
Bruni, what up, my dude?
Yeah, Bruni. I didn't realize that was Bruni. If I realized that was Bruni, I would have shouted him out earlier.
Yeah. He made me some money. He made me some money this week, adding Donald to my touchdown parlay. Shout out.
Bruni is the man. All right. Let's get straight to it now. It is time for Real or Fake. All right. Before we let Jamie speak, I am sure that Jordan saw that I put his name down right away on this one. As soon as I saw that Jamie put this guy down for real, I said, sorry, Raul, this is mere Jordan, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Yes.
Jamie.
Yes, sir.
What kind of person would you have to put on the show sheet for me to say, sorry, Raul, this is ours? When I saw the name, I went, you did this just to troll me and Jordan.
I did.
Prove me wrong.
We are giving the award to Mr. Jacoby Brissett this week. 320 yards, 2 touchdowns, another 3 rushes for 19 yards. You know the last time Kyler Murray put up those kind of numbers? Guess what? It was week 8 of last year, where he only had 307 yards, and it took him 5 carries to get 19 rushing yards. So maybe what the Cardinals need to do is let Kyler sit on that sideline, play his little Call of Duty game, and let a real quarterback play the game on Sundays. Because maybe, just maybe, then the Cardinals can actually be a competitive team. They almost pulled out a victory until it was the fourth quarter. When that fourth quarter hit, the Colts made a comeback, outscoring Cardinals 14-3 in the fourth. Just to pull out a 31-27 victory. When was the last time Kyler Murray put up 27 points on his team? Marv was even out for most of this game. So he was without his number one wide receiver. But seriously, though, what kind of bizarro world are we in right now where we would have thought Danny Dimes, Mac Jones, and Jacoby Brissett are all fantasy relevant in 2025? So next, we're going to be talking about Zach Wilson playing on an MVP level right here. That is crazy talk. So go hide your mothers.
Jordan, will you
Okay.
please go so I don't hurt him?
So the legend Jacoby Brissett has once again made his way onto this show, but that's just the microcosm of how weird that game was on Sunday. I mean, Anthony Richardson broke his orbital
could have brought that up.
orbital bone in warmups. Shavarius Ward had a concussion in warmups after getting trampled by one of his teammates. And then Jacoby Brissett throws 300 yards. It's insane, man. But I will say, he was better for McBride than Kyler was with all of that. And like Meatball said, he can actually see over the line, so that helps tremendously. He had those receivers looking good, man. Now obviously, you always have to be mindful of a guy. We know what his ceiling is. There's no real upside to him. And when there's a new quarterback, there's a bump in play, just because the style is different, the game plan is different, things of that nature. But I really like the way he was throwing the ball. I like his toughness. He's always had that. And I mean, honestly, I'm looking forward to see how it's going. Kyler, after winning the first two games, they kind of tailed off, they lost 4 in a row. Obviously, 3 before this game on Sunday, and that Battleground 6 came out on Friday, so maybe Kyler wasn't really hurt. He was just taking just getting that new game, breaking that new game in. But yeah, man, as long as Brissett's there, I mean, I think he's going to put up decent numbers. McBride specifically, but the offense looked better than with Kyler for that day for sure.
So I'll just say this real quick. In my TD and yard bonus only league, I had McBride, and I was telling myself before
I thought you were going to say you had Brissett. No,
before the week was over, before the week started, I said I'm giving McBride one more week, and then I'm going to let him go because it said no bench league, whatever. And then he scores a touchdown with Brissett, and I'm like, okay, if Brissett plays, I'll keep it going. And then I see on the show sheet that this guy decides to put him on. I went, oh, it's going to continue the whole story. So before I let Jamie go with this fake player, Jamie, don't say a word. All I'm going to say is, Meatball, do not play into his antics.
No, that was a joke.
Yeah, your antics. Yes, exactly. All right, Jamie, who is your fake player of the week?
All right, so fun fact here. Kamani Vidal is the great nephew of baseball legend Hank Aaron.
Yep.
I'm going to start calling him Tsunami Vidal because he destroyed that city. And there's reason to believe. Stop laughing, dude. You're going to make me laugh. So there is
all one tonight.
There's really reason to believe that a repeat performance from Vidal might be really tough to pull off again, right? His big game came under perfect conditions. It was great blocking from the Chargers O-line. There was creative play designs and some massive running lanes that made life easy for him. He took advantage of it, no doubt, but that kind of setup doesn't happen every week in the NFL. Defenses, they adjust fast, and now teams will be game planning specifically just to slow him down. He had long runs of a 20-yard run, a 30-yard run, a 40-yard run. Those are outliers, and it's not something you can really count on a week-to-week basis. So, yeah, week 6 was very impressive, but it was a perfect storm. Don't expect the same explosion every Sunday from him. Do I think he could be a fantasy relevant going forward? Yes, sir, I do. But top 10? No way. So Mama said projections are the devil.
Bobby
Roll.
Boucher.
Roll, will you take it away?
I don't even know if I could follow up with that one, but hey, I mean, fake in the sense, don't expect RB1 numbers. Agreed. Dolphins D, I think, like we talked about on my reel from last week, if you've got a running back going up against the Dolphins D, it's very likely they're going to explode. So again, another count on like potentially fake, unrepeatable. But I do want to say, like, they did ride the hot hand. I think Hassan Hassan started the game, but Kamani Vidal clearly showed he, at least on the day, was a more explosive player. 60%, 67% snap share, 72% carry share, 50% route run rate, which you guys rightly pointed out, like that PPR sort of upside, whereas I was on the Haskins side. He had a touchdown within the 10, a 7-yard receiving touchdown. So I'm still a little skeptical about the goal line. I don't think that's been definitively answered, but Chargers, good offense, even the O-line problems. Looking at their schedule coming up, they do have the Vikings run defense been a little shaky. They have Titans coming up. They have the Raiders coming up. And we also heard news that Hampton is likely to be out longer than the minimum 4 games. So circling back, I do agree with Jamie. Don't expect top 10 numbers, but I do think he's firmly in the weekly flex territory and is definitely a good pickup. Can you sell high on the promise of a 21-point game? And if you're playing with, your Twitter gurus, your fantasy DGens that got in on Kimani Vidal summer last year, maybe sell high. But I'd be content, with the production, RB 24-ish range on a weekly basis. I think that at least is real.
Jamie, will you answer Meatball's question?
What is it? Hold on, all my glasses.
How much more will Haskins be involved?
Oh, I mean, he's definitely going to be involved. At least 45 to 55% of the snaps. Opportunity wise, same thing, like 50%. It's all going to come down to game script and how the game's going. If they're playing from behind, let's give Vidal more work. If they're just running the ball short, then that's going to be Haskins' deal.
Gotcha. All right, Jordan. I don't like you, but you were right. Take it away, sir.
Jordan, I like you.
I don't like this.
I know you don't, but I don't.
I don't like this. But my real man, I had to finally just throw my hands up and just give up. It's Ken Walker. I think that another subpar finish. If he doesn't get a touchdown, his day is gonna stink. 1 target for the 4th time this season out of the 6 games. Running back 43 finish, man. It's just Charbonnet is getting the more valuable touches on the goal line and whatnot. And just like Sam Darnold was balling. Like I thought it would be more of a run heavy team, but they're throwing the ball and being very successful. JSN is a top 3 receiver so far this year. And I don't see that changing. They've had a lot of success with the way that they've been playing, and it just isn't turning out the way I thought it would for Walker. Like I said, he isn't getting involved in the passing game at all, and he's just become touchdown dependent, and that's not something that you want to depend on for a guy who's only getting between like 10 and 15 carries most of the time. He got 19 carries in one game in week 4, but it's been 10, 13, 16, 19, 10, and 10. So like that's not enough to expect. He's getting good yards per carry for most of them, but like I said, the touchdowns haven't been there to save him. So it's just like this is what you're gonna have to expect unless Charbonnet gets hurt.
Yeah, like that's before I let you go roll. That's why I said I don't like you, because I have a feeling this is going to be our Tony Pollard from last year. Raul, take it away.
I think, Jordan, you said it all. This is also a very painful reel for me to admit, but Charbonnet is very clearly the goal line back. Like, we've have enough evidence, and Charbonnet coming back off an injury to say that they trust him as the goal line back. That RB1 ceiling seems very unlikely without injury. Charbonnet and Jordan, you touched on the targets in 2024 in I believe 11, if not, yeah, 11 games played. He had 46 catches, 53 targets, over 4 catches a game, man. And that now seems like an outlier when you lay it against the rest of Kenneth Walker's career, but it's something that we were just hoping for. Now, without injury, like, could Charbonnet play his way out of the role? Because honestly, I don't think Charbonnet's been that good. Like,
No.
eye test wise, even metrics wise, like, people keep liking to bring up Kenneth Walker's stuff rate, the percentage of his runs that are 0 or negative yards. Charbonnet has a higher stuff percentage than Ken Walker does. So is there that chance that Walker just shows he deserves a little more? It is possible, but right now it's very hard to see him even paying off the cost, let alone, honestly, like the ceiling that I thought Ken Walker's to be a smash value this year. So it is very disappointing, but I do have to agree with you here, Jordan.
All right, Jordan. Take it away with your fake player of the week.
So I'm holding on to this one by a thread, especially with this Garrett Wilson news. But Jamie a couple of weeks ago talked about this guy, Justin Fields, man. I'm not gonna get completely out on him because of this bad game against the Broncos. Like we talked about earlier, or we mentioned in passing, it was just a ugly game in general. And Fields has had 2 really bad games this year against the Bills and Broncos, coincidentally, 2 good defenses. So, obviously when he plays a good defense, he's going to struggle. But, I mean, the rushing upside is always going to be there. Not having Garrett Wilson, obviously that's going to change things the next couple of weeks. But that's 2 matchups that they can have success offensively on. I mean, his schedule for the rest of the year isn't super tough. He still has the Bills one more time, but like the Patriots defense doesn't really scare me. So he's going to have opportunities to continue to put up some of the numbers that he has in these other games, not excluding the 2 horrible ones. So I'm not panicking on him. I still think he has that rush upside. I still think he can make some plays in the passing game. Going to hopefully start checking down to Breece Hall more as a safety valve now that Wilson won't be there. Mason Taylor also. So, yeah, I'm still encouraged by Fields, unless they bench him because they stink. But bench him for Tyrod doesn't make any sense at this point in time. So I think he's going to keep the job throughout, and he's going to have an ability to put up good numbers.
Jamie?
Yeah, 100% agree. Like, he's going to have top 10 games again. Yep. He only completed 50 plus % of his passes this past week.
Yeah,
you can't fault him for this because we knew it was a tough defense. He doesn't have other receivers other than Garrett Wilson, and then Mason Taylor. He's a young guy, so I'm not faulting Justin Fields for this game. Yes, I started him over guys like Jackson Dart just because I thought he was going to use his legs more. Mm-hmm. And I think he had 7 rushes, but they didn't really amount to anything.
So I will fault him partly because when you get sacked 9 times, yes, part of that is offensive line, but another that is holding the ball too long, which he's always had a problem with doing. But
you have to look at his matchups the next 2 weeks. It's Carolina. God damn, he's going to go off on Carolina. It doesn't matter if he doesn't have Garrett Wilson. And then Cincinnati.
Yeah.
It's going to be the same thing.
I'm in.
So I'm all in on Justin Fields. I'm not benching him. I'm going to start him.
Yeah, I think I'm on the same page. I did bench him this week. Thank goodness. I had Caleb, and I played Caleb over him. I just had this didn't think that he was going to be horrible, but I just played a little bit of the matchup with Washington and against Denver's D. But Raul, speaking of going back to Monday Night Football, Caleb played in the afternoon game, the night game, the afternoon game for me and you out in the West Coast. I didn't get to watch a lot of it because it started at 4 in the afternoon. But will you take it away with your real player?
Wait, I'm just coming down to see what's on the show sheet for Rant of the Week because we had some pre.
No, you can bring it up. You can bring it up. You can bring it up. It's not on this. It's not.
I'll work it in a little bit later. But from Monday night, London is my real, and you're probably listening like, yeah, obviously Rahul, like Drake London is real. He was like a top 15 pick. But guys, I think this is a locked in top 5 fantasy wide receiver the rest of the year, and honestly, potential to be wide receiver 1 from this point moving on. And I want to talk about a small split that we've already seen this season. Weeks 1 to 3, Drake London is very disappointing. After week 3, which culminated in a 30-0 loss to the Panthers, the Falcons fired their wide receiver coach, and their play caller and offensive coordinator Zach Robinson moved down from the booth down to the field, and immediately we saw a change in Drake London's usage. In weeks 1 to 3, Drake London only had 7 targets out of the slot, and he had 12 such targets in weeks 4 and 6 combined. They always had a week 5 bye. He led all wide receivers in slot targets in week 6 with 6 targets on just 9 routes, man. If he's lining up the slot, the ball is going to Drake London. And I think this is very important because in 2024, Drake London had 47 catches for 563 yards on solely slot targets. He was 6th in the league in receiving yards out of the slot, man. This guy is a monster. And, we've seen the likes of Jamar Chase and CeeDee Lamb absolutely dominate with that addition of that inside-outside versatility, that slot usage. It's just fantasy goodness, man. Like targets over the middle, gimme, cheap, short targets, just boosting up that profile. Drake London at 26.8 points in half PPR. I believe it could have been 32.8 if it was 1 yard further and got that. Would have been a super electric touchdown. I think this is an elite asset. I think he would be easily in the first round if we redrafted today, and I genuinely think he has wide receiver 1 overall upside. Drake London is absolutely real.
All right. So I put my name on this as soon, when I saw everyone's things, I put my name on this. The first thing I did was put Jordan on freaking Jacoby Brissett. The second thing I did was put my name down on the one I wanted, and then I filled it in. So you are 1,000% right. This is a no doubt about it. I think Penix is finally getting the connection with him. The offense looked slow and molasses the first couple weeks of the season. Don't get me wrong. The way the Bijan goes is the way this team goes. But like you brought up the slot stats, in week 1, he had 9.5 points. Week 2, 5.4. This is in half point, according to fantasy points data. Week 3, 8. Week 4, 21. Then the bye week. And then this week, that could have been 34 points if it wasn't for that touchdown that you brought up. So am I saying that he's going to get 25, 26, 22 points every week? No. But that mirage of him getting 9.5, 5, and 8, I think that's over with. And I think they're going to use Bijan in the passing game, London, and a little bit of Pitts whenever they decide to, and that's really it. McLeod, Mooney's been hurt. So London is all they got, and I think targeting him is the way it goes. So, Raul, Jamie, if you didn't see it, will you please look at the chat? I'm going to put it up after Raul's fake. Before my reel, I'll put this all up in the chat, but it is a dynasty question. Raul, take it away.
Yeah, my fake, and honestly, this is one that I could have seen, Mike, you chose the name very specifically for this one. My fake is Breece Hall. Big Jets day for the boys here, but 22 carries for just 59 yards. Not a single target versus the Broncos in London. I think clearly we're getting back at the Brits for colonialism with the absolute garbage that we're sending across the pond. But in the 3 games right before that, Breece Hall had 4+ catches per game, and now Garrett Wilson is out. Yes, offense could get worse, but can it honestly get worse after what we saw? I think they could feed Breece through the air. We talked about like the check down percentage. That's something that I was a little bit skeptical on with the running quarterback, but man, who is he going to throw the ball to, right? And coming back to this is just from a couple of weeks ago, but I think will play out for the rest of the season. Braylon Allen is on long-term IR, while Isaiah Davis will take snaps, third down snaps specifically. He will not threaten Brees near the goal line like the big boy Braylon Allen could and legitimately did for the first couple of weeks. Will the Jets get to the goal line? That's a different question. But I think Brees Hall in week 6 is fake. I'd be trying to shoot a couple offers out to see if you can get him back, because I think the workload is going to be massive, and he's going to get his through the air as well. So Brees Hall fake in week 6.
All right, Jamie, give us a quick couple thoughts on the fake, and then we'll get into the super chat.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree, especially with Wilson out. They are going to use the run game more, and we all know Brees Hall can catch passes. Maybe they involve him more if Justin Fields can actually get him the ball, because we know those Russian quarterbacks don't really throw the ball to their running backs that often. But I don't think they have a choice now.
Yeah, it has to be Brees.
Yeah,
I don't agree. All right, Meatball, super chat, super chat. So let's get right into it. Super chat. Thank you, Meatball. We really appreciate it. So in my 6-0 PPR dynasty, God, you lucky punk, trade away ETN, Jaden Higgins, and a 27-second for Kamara and Worthy. Let's start there.
Yeah, no.
No, I'm
you don't
not
want
doing
Kamara. Kamara's snaps are going down and down every week. They're even going to talk about trading him.
And Worthy's going to be brought up in a minute, kind of, in a little bit.
Yeah, but with Rice coming back, I don't really.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah. So no for that one.
Do you guys agree?
Yeah.
Okay.
I do as well. 6-0, assuming strong contender. I think ETN is going to be the highest scorer of all those assets. So
the other half of this is he could or trade ETN, JMO, and a 26 first for Nico and Montgomery.
So
I'm gonna bring up his roster while you guys think. So ETN, JMO, and a first. So obviously, if he's contending, a late first. So ETN, JMO, and a late first for Nico and Monty, and then I'm going to bring up his roster. This is Superflex.
that one is sexier because shit.
So he's got London, JSN, Debo, Genty, Henry, Judkins, and Dowdle. QBs are Goff, May, and Stroud.
So you don't even need a running back, do you?
Genty, Henry, no, not necessarily.
No, but I think he's trading away ETN.
He's trading away to ETN. Yeah, I would definitely like to have Nico and Montgomery.
Yeah, because the Nico one's sexy. I do want Nico.
But he's trading away ETN so he can get Monty. I think that's part of the deal.
So if I break it down and I'm thinking JMO is worth a late first, you're also giving a late first for Nico. I think Nico's worth more than 2 late first. So you throw in ETN, and that makes up for the value from going from ETN to Monty as a bench piece. So I like that trade. I like that.
I would do that one.
Yes, do it.
Are we in agreement?
Oh yes.
Cool.
Yeah.
Can we are those all the wide receivers? London, JSN, Debo, is that how we put? Yeah. I'd probably still do this trade. I'm wondering if you can get a little bit of a cheaper deal. I mean, Lee Collins is one of my favorite players in the league. I wonder if there's some finagling you can do, because I don't think his production is super clear cut the rest of the year. But if that's the deal that's on the table, I'd probably do it. Yeah, get Nico Collins.
All right, so T-Bone, I will put your trade up in a minute. Can you please let us know if this is 1 QB or Superflex, because that will matter for this one. So I'm going to get into my reel first. My reel is Mr. Lad McConkey. The Chargers run wide receiver beginning of the year 10.4, 7.3, 6.1, 1.6, 12.4 in week 5, and 19.5 wide receiver 6 in week 6. I want to make sure that I have who I have talking about this. Yes, that's what I thought. Partly because of Quentin Johnson being out, but guess what? Jamie and Jordan both know I've never been high on QJ, so that don't matter to me. I don't care if he's in the game or out of the game. I think this is more of a lad finally working into the offense this year. I think that's the way it's going to be. I think Lad, started off in week 5, moving back up the depth chart. Keaton's gone down a little bit. With Omarion being out, like we brought up earlier, they're going to pass the ball more. So I think he's going to stay involved, and I think Herbert is going to keep looking to Lad. So am I saying he's going to be top 6 every week? No, but I think those low performances are gone, and I think he's going to be middle of the pack, wide receiver 2 at worst every week now. I think he's going to be boom WR1 weeks with 12 to 18 WR2 as a norm. Jordan, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree with that. At first, I thought I didn't know where you were going with it, but once you kind of laid out the expectations, yeah, I'm rolling with that. I think obviously QJ's injury did help him see the boost, but I think overall he is the best receiver they have, and I think you can see his usage start to kind of grow, like you mentioned, and I think sometimes all you need is like one guy to be out. And then it kind of reminds you of what you had, and them having to pass more, I think, is going to put that production back to where we want, in the area of where we want it for him. So, yeah, I agree with that.
All right. And so for my fake player, I'm actually talking about a chief and a fake. So which way am I going? It is Mr. Hollywood Brown. He was on my bench, and he had 18.5 points in half PPR. Lovely. Yes, he had a great week in week 1. He had 14.9, 5.5, 6.2, 11.3, 6.8, 18.5. Mahomes is abso-freaking-lutely back. He's the QB1. That's hands down. Here's the thing. Worthy was out. Worthy's down. Worthy's back. He's not Jordan, you know how I love to say he's a gadget player. And I'm not saying Worthy is a complete gadget player, but they used him a little bit more like gadget. But someone brought up a little bit earlier, Hollywood Brown is an absolute fake to me because of Rashee Rice coming back. I'm sorry, it's Rashee Rice's wide receiver core. I do think that Juju has worked his way into getting a couple catches a game, 2 or 3. That's all you need with him. And you're going to have – I saw that look, Jordan. What?
I was thinking about Juju's antics off the field. What happened to him on Sunday night?
Oh, don't even get me. Don't even get me. Don't even get me started. So then you got Juju, you got Hollywood, you got Rice, Worthy, Juju, Hollywood, Kelsey, all have to get the ball. I think Hollywood is going to be the odd man out. Don't get me wrong, he's still going to have a role, but I don't think 18.5 is in his cards again unless there's more injuries, knock on wood. So, what do you think, Jamie, about Hollywood Brown?
Say goodbye. Say goodbye to Hollywood. Say goodbye. Say goodbye to Hollywood. Because you look at the numbers from Hollywood that's putting up this year to Rice that put up last year, they're almost identical. So you would think Hollywood is the 1-for-1 replacement for Rice. You put Rice back into that scenario, there's not going to be use for Hollywood anymore. Hollywood is getting 40+% of the snaps in the slot, rest on the outside. That's exactly what Rashee Rice did last year, 43% in the slot and the rest on the outside. So you're taking Hollywood out of the equation and you're putting Rice into his. I do agree he might get some snaps, but it's not going to be what he did this week once Rice comes back.
Yeah. All right. So it is time for Host Choice. It's our segment where we all get to do something a little bit different. So it's Jamie's matchup mania. And Jamie, I know you don't live out here on the West Coast or in the desert, but why do you like playing the slots this week?
Oh, I love playing slots. You just put those quarters in and pull that lever. Oh, they give you all that money coming out. So I got a few matchups that I wanted to point out. Like the Bears, right now, they allow the third most fantasy points to the slot. They're playing the Saints this week. The Saints don't have a true slot receiver. So they cycle through all the receivers. Like Olave, he plays 33% of his 85% of snap shares in the slot. Shaheed plays 38% of his 73% of the snaps. Brandon Cooks, he plays 37% of his 69 snaps in the slot. Then you got Juwan Johnson plays 33% of his 90% snap share in the slot. So Bears, they also allow 14 points to the tight end. So Juwan Johnson is a must play this week. Olave is also a good play this week. Shaheed, going to be a good flex. If you're desperate, play Brandon Cooks because maybe he gets some of those targets in that slot. He could be a surprise in a deeper flex play. Now let's move on. The Commanders, they're facing Dallas. The Commanders, Washington allows the fourth most points to the slot. Now, Lamb, is he going to come back? We don't know. But we have Tolbert and we have Flournoy. They also play 40 to 45% of the snaps in the slot. Could both be a deeper flex desperation play? It's in the cards. Then Troy Franklin. Troy Franklin plays 55 of his snaps in the slot, facing the Giants, who allow the fifth most wide receiver points to the position in the slot. I kind of want to play him this week. Mims only plays 22. Sutton only plays 17. Not that much. But when they're in the slot, can they get points? Of course. You're obviously playing Sutton. Mims, deeper desperation play. Franklin, I do see 13, 14 points from Franklin this week. Then we got the Chargers. Chargers are facing the Colts, who allow the sixth most points to the slot. Mike, you brought him up earlier. McConkey. He lines up 65% of his snaps in the slot. That's seventh most in the league. Second, if you actually put him behind Wandale, if you go by percentages.
Yeah.
But I know we're all playing him anyway. So, but in shallow leagues, I see people wondering if they want to play McConkey or not. Yes, you play him this week in the slot. And finally, this one could be used more for prop bets because these are must starts. But San Fran, they allow the second most fantasy points to the slot receiver. Falcons don't have a true slot receiver right now with Ray McLeod. He is out, right? We're not seeing him on the field. London, he sees 30% of his snaps out of the slot, so expect a huge game for him. He's going to eat. But also, Bijan Robinson plays 13 to 14% of his routes are ran out of that slot, and he's going to get about 6-7 targets per game. The Niners are already allowing 20 plus points to running backs. So I like another 25 plus fantasy point game out of Bijan coming up this week. He's going to kill on the ground and through the air. So think about taking the over on Bijan Robinson's receiving props. Boom. Mike, back to you, almighty host of the cheat sheet.
All right, Jordan. I ain't giving any little crystal I'm just saying, why do you want to talk about Dak?
So when I wrote this, it made sense, but then Jaden Daniels knocked Dak out of the top 5. But
Oh.
going into this matchup against the Redskins, I think Dak will fourth straight week finished top 6 at the position. In the last 3 games, 10 touchdowns, no picks. We're hoping, fingers crossed, to get CeeDee Lamb back this week. Obviously, another weapon that's going to help the passing game. And it helps Dak the most. So I think the Redskins defense showed yesterday that they can be had to a certain extent. Caleb could have had a better game, but I mean, I think Dak, with the role he's been on, he keeps it going against this defense. Don't see them really putting up much resistance. Jaden Daniels is going to score on the Cowboys, so it's going to be another shootout. And I expect Dak to cook again and finish at the top of the position before he has a tough matchup against Denver the week after that.
Yeah, I got Pickens in that big league, so I would like another week of straight George Pickens, please, because that got me the bonus and the touchdown. So I will take that every day, any day. All right, it is time for our rules. Boom or doom, rookie edition. Take it away on your boom.
Huh. I actually didn't even put that one together until you just pointed it out. I was more thinking this is the last 2 weeks of real plus real equals boom. Bear with me now. A couple of weeks ago, I said Quinshon Judkins is absolutely real. And then last week, I said this Miami run D is absolutely real and how bad they are. 1 + 1 = 2. And I think, man, sorry, this going off the fly. It only works so far, but what I will tell you will work out is Quinshon Judkins is going to have a boom game in week 7. Honestly, top five, potentially RB1. That's a little risky for a Browns running back, but man, the Cleveland Browns are actually favored to win this one. How many times are we going to say that this season, JV? But I think that's a matchup that you absolutely have to target. Like, leave aside the opposition, the game script wise, you absolutely have to target these for Quinshon. We finally saw just a couple cracks in his profile last week, especially his snap share dropped heavily as Dylan Gabriel had to drop back 60 times, which certainly cannot be recipe for success to win an NFL game. But he expected Browns bounce back at home after a tough trip to Pittsburgh, where they literally never win. And that followed, a trip back from international waters. So I think Browns bounce back, led by Quinshon Judkins. I'm expecting 20+ carries, another 100-yard game, and 1 to 2 touchdowns. I think this really is going to be a massive breakout. He's broken out, but a massive boom game for Quinshon Judkins in week 7.
And now it's that
No.
time again.
Not yet. He still has his doom.
Oh, damn it.
I gave you one job. Go ahead, Raul.
I suppose it is that time again, because following the boom is always the doom. Cough, Jamie. But this week it is Teteroa McMillan, another one of our favorites here on the cheat sheet. Finally, the touchdowns arrived in week 6, and he put up 2 touchdowns against the Dallas Cowboys. This is despite having his lowest yardage total and lowest number of targets. Could be a Cowboys D kind of thing. But now I'm worried about this matchup against the New York Jets, the many time aforementioned New York Jets today. He's going to draw the Sauce Gardner matchup. Sauce has shown that he's going to be, he travels across the field against the opposing X receiver, wide receiver ones. I think Sauce is going to clamp Ted a bit. And also, it is just this kind of game. I expect a neutral or certainly possibly a positive game script for the Carolina Panthers. Chuba Hubbard or not, they've unlocked this run game with what we've seen from Rico, Derrick Henry, Dowdle over the last couple of weeks. I think it's going to be a heavy dose of the run attack, and takes a bit of a back seat in week 7 against the New York Jets. So he is my doom player this week.
All right, now it's time again. We gotta sound the alarms. Grab your popcorn, mute your notifications, because seriously, cancel your plans and clear the airwaves because it's time for Mike's Rant of the Week.
All right, so there was one very important piece of news that I left out of the news on purpose, and that was Brian Callahan being fired by the Tennessee Titans. And this wasn't going to be the rant until I saw a certain thing on another podcast today, and I am going off on that in the middle of the rant, and I'll give props to that person when it gets to that part. But this Titans organization, Jordan, is worse than Bend and Shatter. This Titans organization is worse right now than steaming pile of poo-poo. This might be a homeless person dumpster digging while the dumpster is on fire. And here I am going to set it up, and then I am going to tell you why, because Jamie is losing it right now. They, in 2024, decide to go and fire Mike Vrabel, who everyone thought was a bad firing because he was a great coach for this team in culture and in everything else. But it's not even Vrabel that where it starts to get bad. In 2022, they fired GM John Robinson on December 2022. January of 2023, they hire Rand Carthon as their GM. Then they fire Vrabel, like said before. January of 25, after Vrabel gets fired this year. So Callahan coached last year. Then Rand Carthon is fired after 2 seasons as the GM. Okay. Then they decide with their brand new GM and a leftover head coach from the previous GM to go and draft Cam Ward as the number 1 overall pick in the draft. Okay. Here's the problem. Like we've always said, when it's a new regime and you get a new player, there's going to be issues. So now what happens? This week they go and fire Brian Callahan. Are they going to fire their GM? Who knows? Now, even if Cam Ward was a complete success this season, which he isn't quite yet, now he's going to have to be the quarterback under a new regime. Look what's happened to Justin Fields over and over and over. He failed in Chicago. Trubisky failed. Now you bring in Caleb, all this, all that. Now I am going to give credit to Establish the Run and Adam Levitan, because this is where I got fired up today. There's already rumblings coming out of Tennessee who they are thinking about 2 names they want to hire as the new head coach of the Tennessee Titans. And if they do, it is worse than Brian Callahan. Have you heard this yet, Jamie? Okay, because get ready. You want to be on mute. You're muted, but you want to stay on mute because you're gonna cuss. You're gonna cuss and get ready. The 2 names being mentioned are Matt Nagy and Arthur Smith.
Oh, come on.
If you thought that freaking Brian Callahan as the head coach for Cam Ward was bad, you go and you give play calling duties, not to the OC, but to the quarterback's coach. Then you fire Callahan and give it to an assistant advisor who couldn't even make it as a head coach for 3 years in the NFL, Mike McCoy with the San Diego Chargers. So now you want to hire Arthur Smith or Matt Nagy 2 years before you open up your brand new stadium in Nashville, Tennessee. I'm about to say something that I have not said in a while. You are on the level of the Las Vegas Raiders and the Dallas Cowboys when it comes to ownership. Congratulations. That's not a good thing to be on.
Cleveland Browns. Cleveland Browns.
Jamie, I'm going to give you 30 seconds because I can't.
I only need one line. There's no excuse. No excuse. That's it.
Arthur Smith.
Come on, guys. Do better.
Chig and Gunnar Helm. Stock up.
Do better.
Yeah, Chig and Gunnar Helm. First round picks. All right. So before we get into the waiver wire, let's do this real quick. All right. Go ahead and use our promo code if you're a new user on Underdog. Support our sponsor. Use promo code GF2 and get up to $1,000 in bonus bucks during the offseason. They have contests, Chihuahua, Puppy. If you just do a best ball league, 87.246% chance you're in the league with Jamie. They got pick'ems, higher lowers for every major sport, NHL, NBA, MLB. NHL just came back last week. NBA's coming up in 2 weeks. Go ahead, click it. I know me and Jordan are going to be clicking those for the Lakers in the first couple of weeks because who's going to score the points? I don't know, but someone has to. So let's get started. It is time, GF2, and get up to $1,000 in bonus cash. All right, let's get right into our sheet of the week. Jamie, who is your waiver wire ad, my man?
So if you need a tight end, go grab Michael Mayer for this week. Brock Bowers, he's nursing a PCL strain and a bone bruise that he got in week 1. He tried to push through it. Didn't happen. He hasn't bounced back. He's week to week right now, and it's only going to get worse from here if they don't sit him. So with the week 8 Raiders bye,
yep.
I think this is just a 1 week fill-in that you can go grab, play Michael Mayer, and they're going up against the Chiefs, which ain't the best matchup, but the volume alone right there that he's going to see makes him a solid 1 week fill-in. Dollar store special of the week. Go grab Jaden Blue. Go put $1, $2, $3 with Miles Sanders out, done for the year. The rookie Jaden Blue is suddenly one injury away from an actual legit fantasy role, and the team has been hyping him up lately. And he's got that burst plus the pass catching juice that you want in a fantasy stash. So if you have the bench spot, toss a dart, go grab Jaden Blue. It could age nicely.
Alrighty. Jordan, will you continue the trend?
Yeah, just kind of piggybacking off an injured tight end. Go pick up Harold Fannin. Obviously, he had gotten picked up early in the year after his week 1 performance, but then I'm sure a lot of people have dropped him. So Njoku's hurt. I think he might have hyperextended his knee, just kind of looking at some reports. He's hurt right now, so go pick up Fannin. Dylan Gabriel can't throw it past 10 yards, so he's going to be throwing short area targets to the tight ends a lot, some Judy as well, but go pick up Harold Fannin.
Yes, and I'll put this up real quick. 1, 2, 3. Okay, Raul, go take it away.
Again, I'm piggybacking off the tight end beneficiaries from teammate injuries. I'm going with the Buccaneers tight end, Cade Otton. Of course, devastating injury for Emeka Egbuka. I really do hope Mike Evans can make it back because it is such a juicy Monday night game against the Detroit Lions and what should be a shootout. Rather than try and guess which wide receiver will be the guy, even assuming really that Evans is out. And funny side note that the first rookie K Johnson to boom was not Caleb Johnson, but Cameron Johnson, who I genuinely had never heard of before. But all reliable in that offense is Cade Otton. He's had his boom games here and there, connection established with Baker Mayfield. He actually led the team in receptions in the previous week. So I think it's a spot start, tight end stream. Cade Otton could be a good play, especially in what should be a shootout, even with all the Bucks injuries.
Yeah, absolutely. And another one I will bring up for Meatball real quick. I don't know if he's still here, but this is speaking of Chargers. Here's one that I've been seeing a lot of everyone. Gatson could get some play this week. I agree. He's another tight end that he's even though Will Disley came back. Gatson's getting more snap shares, so he's another one in deep leagues that I would be looking out for.
Just real quick, Gaston is my most owned dynasty tight end. I own him in 18 of my 30 leagues.
Jordan, can I ask you a question? What does that really mean about Jamie?
I love tight ends. Just like
that
this
must
one.
mean no. That
must mean
we already put that up.
Just like that. Love it.
We already put that up.
He's very athletic.
Because he must have a really good RAS score.
Yes.
All right. It's been a good show. Yeah, see, I knew he was still here. It might be late in Georgia, but I knew he was still here. Actually, you're not too far away from Jordan, in all honesty. It was a great show. We'll throw it around the horn like usual. Raul, take it away.
Yeah, great show, guys. Things are looking up a little bit after week 6. Honestly, had a couple of shit offs, but I somehow managed to be less shittier than my opponents in every instance. So onward we plunge to week 7. Thanks to you guys for another great show, and thanks to our viewers for sticking with us here, the Fantasy Cheat Sheet.
Good show tonight. Everybody put those waiver claims in. Waivers is not a strong week per se. I have much to say, but for everybody that needs to get those claims in, and looking forward to getting some wins this weekend and talking about it next week.
Jamie, will you go? Do not bring that up. I will bring up his comment, but I am not bringing yours up. Go.
All right. And that, folks, this concludes another episode of the Fantasy Cheat Sheet. And another episode of Mike losing his mind, so you don't have to. Tune in next week. Same rage, new targets.
All right. One league I got to vent a tad bit about that I wasn't able to vent because I got on late. I lost. I had Mahomes and I had Mahomes and McConkey. But guess what? It's kind of hard to win a league when someone has Bijan, Rico, and London on the same roster.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I'm going to say. And I'm going to put this up. As a barber, I love this show and the men's cams. It is every stage of beard growth.
Yeah.
Okay.
I got the starter kit. Mike got the full. And Raul got the in between. Jamie got the clean cut.
Jamie, here's the problem. Before I sign off for everyone, here's the problem. Stubble, like good stubble, medium, trying to grow and can't, and then this. So, there's a difference.
All I got to say is these women, they like this little tickle.
All right.
Jamie,
this is Mike. Have a good night.